Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are fine. फ्रेंड्स, आज की इस वीडियो में हम जोनाथन स्विफ्ट के एक फेमस वर्क गुलिवर ट्रैवल्स की मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एमसीक्यूज डिस्कस करेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, जोनाथन स्विफ्ट एक एंग्लो आयरिश डायरिस्ट थे और इसके अलावा एसेइस्ट, पॉलिटिकल पम्फलेटियर और पोएट थे। वो अपने गुलिवर ट्रैवल्स सैटिरिकल नॉवल की वजह से बहुत मशहूर थे। फ्रेंड्स, इस नावल में गुलिवर ट्रैवल जो है वो 4 फिक्शनल प्लेसेस पर जाता है और ये नावल 1726 में पब्लिश हुआ। वीडियो को शुरू करने से पहले अगर आपने अभी तक हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो अभी इसे सब्सक्राइब कर लें और साथ ही लगे घंटे के निशान को प्रेस कर लें ताकि नई आने वाली वीडियो आप तक पहुंचती रहे। लेट्स स्टार्ट द टॉपिक। फर्स्ट एमसीक्यूज इज व्हाट इज लेम्यूल गुलिवर बाय ट्रेड? ऑप्शन ए अ स्कॉलर, Option B, a technician. Option C, a surgeon. Option D, a sailor. And the right option is a surgeon. Next MCQs is, how does Gulliver arrive on Lilliput? Option A, pirates leave him there. Option B, he is dropped off there by a bird. Option C, he swims ashore after a shipwreck. Option D, he goes there in search of fresh water. And the right option is, he swims ashore after a shipwreck. Next MCQs is, when Gulliver awakens on the shore of Lilliput, what is his condition? Option A, badly wounded and in iron shackles. Option B, comfortable and in pleasant mood. Option C, feeling giddy and ill. Option D, tied up on the ground by hundreds of strings. And the right option is tied up on the ground by hundreds of strings. Next MCQs is, how do the Lilliputians hurt Gulliver when they first find him? Option A, they stab him with daggers. Option B, they burn fire around him. Option C, they beat him with heavy sticks. Option D, they shoot tiny arrows at him. And the right option is, they shoot tiny arrows at him. Next MCQs is, how tall are the Lilliputians? Option A, 5 to 6 feet. Option B, 5 to 6 inches. Option C, 50 to 60 feet. Option D, more than a foot. And the right option is 5 to 6 inches. Next MCQs is, how tall are the Brobdingnags? Option A, 5 to 6 feet. Option B, 5 to 6 inches. Option C, 54 to 60 feet. Option D, less than a foot. And the right option is 54 to 60 feet. Next MCQs is, what is the punishment for the Lilliputians who bother Gulliver? Option A, they are thrown into the sea. Option B, they are put in prison. Option C, they are beaten badly. Option D, they are driven towards Gulliver for punishment. And the right option is, they are driven towards Gulliver for punishment. Next MCQs is, how do the Lilliputians decide who will take a high position in the court? Option A, high education. Option B, expert in warfare. Option C, the tallest are automatically selected. Option D, a tightrope jumping contest. And the right option is a tightrope jumping contest. Next MCQs is, how does Gulliver gain his liberty in Lilliput? Option A, he breaks free. Option B, he tricks the Lilliputians. Option C, with his gentleness and good behavior. Option D, he never gains his liberty. And the right option is, with his gentleness and good behavior. Next MCQs is, how does Gulliver learn to speak the Lilliputian language? Option A, he simply observes them speaking. Option B, an old teacher teaches him. Option C, 6 scholars are employed to teach him. Option D, he joins a language school. And the right option is, 6 scholars are employed to teach him. Next MCQs is whose responsibility is to raise the Lilliputian children? Option A, state ministers. Option B, their parents. Option C, the belief custodians. Option D, the governments. And the right option is the governments. Next MCQs is why did the Lilliputians divide? Option A, they believed in different gods. Option B, they cut their eggs at different ends. Option C, they spoke different languages. Option D, many of them did not like their educational system. And the right option is they cut their eggs at different ends. Next MCQs is how many people have so far been killed in the egg war? Option A, 9,000. Option B, 10,000. Option C, 11,000. Option D, 12,000. And the right option is 11,000. Next MCQs is how does Gulliver earn the title of Nordic in Lilliput? Option A, by capturing the Blefuscodian fleet. Option B, by putting out the fire in the Empress' bedchamber. Option C, by showing lenience towards a group of soldiers who earlier attacked him. Option D, by helping the Lilliputians construct a new palace. And the right option is by capturing the Blefuscodian fleet. Next MCQs is how does Gulliver put out the fire in the Emperor's bedchamber? Option A, he urinates on it. Option B, with a hose. Option C, blows it out. Option D, with a bucket of water. And the right option is he urinates on it. Next MCQs is which of the Lilliputians is comparatively the nicest to Gulliver? Option A, Flimnap. Option B, the Emperor. Option C, the Empress. Option D, Redressal. And the right option is Redressal. Next MCQs is who is Gulliver's enemy in Lilliput? Option A, King of Blefusco. Option B, Hypnoptute. Option C, Skyrish Bolgolam. Option D, Redressal. And the right option is Skyrish Bolgolam. Next MCQs is what did Flimnap say about Gulliver in order to slander him? Option A, that Gulliver openly abused the emperor. Option B, that Gulliver was conspiring with the Blefuscus. Option C, that Gulliver had a love affair with his wife. Option D, that Gulliver stole Empress diamond. And the right option is that Gulliver had a love affair with his wife. Next MCQs is which of the following is not one of the reasons Gulliver is convicted of treason in Lilliput? Option A, he urinated on the Empress' bedchamber. Option B, he encouraged the Blefuscodians in their peace proposal. Option C, he refused to make Blefusco a province of Lilliput. Option D, he ate too much causing a famine. And the right option is he ate too much causing a famine. Next MCQs is what is Gulliver's sentence after he is found guilty of treason in Lilliput? Option A, hanging till death. Option B, having drowned in the sea. Option C, 20 years imprisonment. Option D, having his eyes put out and starved to death. And the right option is having his eyes put out and starved to death. Next MCQs is who are the enemies of the Lilliputians? Option A, the Brobdingnags. Option B, the Laputians. Option C, the Blefuscodians and Big Indians. Option D, human beings. And the right option is the Blefuscodians and Big Indians. Next MCQs is why has Gulliver to leave Lilliput secretly? Option A, he is fed up with living with tiny people. Option B, he is convicted of treason. Option C, he feels nostalgia. Option D, he doesn't get much to eat there. And the right option is he is convicted of treason. Next MCQs is How does Gulliver leave for home from Blefuscu? Option A. He signals a ship while standing on the shore. Option B. He is picked up by a large bird. Option C. He swims from island to island. Option D. He takes a boat that he finds offshore and repairs it. And the right option is he takes a boat that he finds offshore and repairs it. Next MCQs is who first discovers Gulliver in Brobdingnag? Option A, the farmer. Option B, farmer's wife. Option C, a field worker. Option D, king's soldier. And the right option is a field worker. Next MCQs is what does the farmer make Gulliver do in order to earn money? Option A, rear his cattle. Option B, work in his fields. Option C, educate his children. Option D, perform tricks for spectators. And the right option is perform tricks for spectators. Next MCQs is who is Gulliver's main caretaker in Brobdingnag? Option A, the farmer. Option B, the queen. Option C, redressal. Option D, farmer's 9-year-old daughter Glumdalclich. And the right option is farmer's 9-year-old daughter Glumdalclich. Next MCQs is in Brobdingnag, who purchases Gulliver and how much does he sell for? Option A, the king 2000 gold coins. Option B, the queen 1000 gold pieces. Option C, a rich merchant 500 gold pieces. Option D, the owner of a circus 800 gold coins. And the right option is the queen 1000 gold pieces. Next MCQs is who looks after Gulliver after he is sold? Option A, the dwarf. Option B, Glumdalclich. Option C, a team of doctors. Option D, Queen's lady in waiting. And the right option is Glumdalclich. Next MCQs is what does Glumdalclich mean? Option A, little girl. Option B, little student. Option C, little nurse. Option D, little doll. And the right option is little nurse. Next MCQs is which person is Gulliver's main enemy in the royal court of Brobdingnag? Option A, the queen. Option B, the king. Option C, the dwarf. Option D, a royal lady. And the right option is the dwarf. Next MCQs is what happened to Gulliver when he was in a grass plot? Option A, a snake bit him. Option B, a hailstorm hit him hard. Option C, wasps attacked him. Option D, a monkey took him away. And the right option is a hailstorm hit him hard. Next MCQs is what human invention does Gulliver propose to the king of Brobdingnag that the king finds revolting? Option A, swords. Option B, daggers. Option C, ships. Option D, gunpowder. And the right option is gunpowder. Next MCQs is how does Gulliver leave Brobdingnag? Option A, being afraid their giant sizes, he runs away. Option B, he is exiled by force. Option C, his cage is carried away by a giant eagle and dropped in the ocean. Option D, a monkey takes him to another island. And the right option is his cage is carried away by a giant eagle and dropped in the ocean. Next MCQs is which of the human societies that he visits does Gulliver find most appealing? Option A, Legado. Option B, Brobdingnag. Option C, England. Option D, Blefuscu. And the right option is Brobdingnag. Next MCQs is how does Gulliver end up in Laputa? Option A, his crew mutinies. Option B, pirates attack his ship and he is left with a boat. Option C, he is shipwrecked. Option D, he stores there for provisions. And the right option is pirates attack his ship and he is left with a boat. Next MCQs is, what do flappers do for the people of Laputa? Option A, keep them cool by fanning them. Option B, protect them from birds and insects. Option C, keep them engaged in conversations by striking them lightly. Option D, introduce them to other people. And the right option is, keep them engaged in conversation by striking them lightly. Next MCQs is, why does Gulliver seem stupid to the Lilliputians? Option A, he does not speak their language. Option B, he is ignorant of music and mathematics. Option C, he is unwilling to use a flapper. Option D, he does not understand how the floating island works. And the right option is, he is ignorant of music and mathematics. Next MCQs is, why is Lord Minody looked down upon by the government in Lagado? Option A, he arouses people rebel against the government. Option B, he is ignorant of music and mathematics. Option C, he uses traditional and successful methods of agriculture and architecture. Option D, he is good for nothing. And the right option is, he uses traditional and successful methods of agriculture and architecture. Next MCQs is, what is different about the Struldbrugs of Lugnag? Option A, they are deaf and dumb. Option B, they are immortal. Option C, they are very tiny people. Option D, they are cognitively blind. And the right option is, they are immortal. Next MCQs is, on which island is Gulliver given the opportunity to summon the shades of the dead? Option A, Lugnag. Option B, Glubdubdrib. Option C, Laputa. Option D, Lagado. And the right option is Glubdubdrib. Next MCQs is, why does Gulliver summon the shades of René Descartes and Pierre Gassendi to talk to Aristotle? Option A, Descartes and Gassendi were supporters of Aristotle's theories. Option B, Descartes and Gassendi, Aristotle were all political statirists. Option C, Descartes and Gassendi were philosophers who revised many of Aristotle's theories. Option D, Descartes and Gassendi were friends of Swift. And the right option is, Descartes and Gassendi were philosophers who revised many of Aristotle's theories. Next MCQs is, how does the king of Lugnag dispose of his enemies in the court? Option A, by slipping poison into the wine they drink to his health. Option B, by poisoning the floor they are required to lick as they approach him. Option C, by poisoning their clothes. Option D, by exiling them from the island. And the right option is, by poisoning the floor they are required to lick as they approach him. Next MCQs, in the utopia called the country of the Houyhnhnms, the horses represent option A, dominance by force. Option B, the perfection of nature. Option C, the entanglements of power. Option D, man's inability to be rational. And the right option is the perfection of nature. Next MCQs is, who does Gulliver describe as the most filthy, noisome and deformed animals which nature ever produced? Option A, the Houyhnhnms. Option B, the Lilliputians. Option C, the Struldbrugs. Option D, the Yahoos. And the right option is the Yahoos. Next MCQs is, who calls the human beings as most pernicious race of little odious vermin? Option A, the Emperor of Blefuscu. Option B, the King of Brobdingnag. Option C, the Grey Horse. Option D, the Emperor of Japan. And the right option is the King of Brobdingnag. Next MCQs is, why is Gulliver exiled from the land of the Houyhnhnms? Option A, he talks ill all of the Houyhnhnms. Option B, he abuses their king. Option C, he looks a Yahoo, so they do not let him live among them. Option D, the Houyhnhnms decide to exterminate the Yahoos. And the right option is, he looks a Yahoo, so they do not let him live among them. Next MCQs is, when Gulliver is exiled from the land of Houyhnhnms, where does he go? Option A, he hides himself at the far end of the land of Houyhnhnms. Option B, he boards an anchored ship to go to England. Option C, he goes to another island to live there forever. Option D, he makes a boat and leaves straight for England. And the right option is, he goes to another island to live there forever. Next MCQs is, who are Gulliver's closest friends after he returns home from his last voyage? Option A, his wife and children. Option B, his class fellows. Option C, 2 horses. Option D, captains of the ships. And the right option is 2 horses. Next MCQs is, which of the following place does Gulliver visit last? Option A, Brobdingnag. Option B, Lilliput. Option C, Houyhnhnms. Option D, Laputa. And the right option is Houyhnhnms. Next MCQs is, which of the following adjectives best describe Gulliver's personality in the first 3 voyages? Option A, direct and perspicacious. Option B, cynical and bitter. Option C, gullible and honest. Option D, kind and condescending. And the right option is gullible and honest. So friends, आज की इस वीडियो में हमने जोनाथन स्विफ्ट के एक फेमस वर्क गुलिवर्स ट्रैवल्स की मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एमसीक्यूज देखी। वीडियो को लाइक करना ना भूलिएगा। स्टे ट्यून्ड फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीडियो। स्टे ब्लेस्ड, कीप वॉचिंग। अल्लाह हाफिज़।